Welcome to our deep dive, and today it's all about taking the stress out of travel.
Making travel frictionless.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at this fascinating report.
Okay.
It's called Friction Removed from Amadeus,
Yeah.
and they talked to over 1,000 U.S. travelers
Mm-hmm.
about what really bugs them,
Yeah.
when they're on the move.
I see.
And one of the really interesting things
Yeah.
was that they found younger travelers
Mm-hmm.
get more stressed about planning than people over 65.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to unpack why that might be,
Yeah.
and more importantly,
Yeah.
what we can all do to make those travel nightmares disappear.
I think that's something we can all get behind. It really makes you wonder, what is it about travel these days that has us all so on edge?
Right. And the report kind of confirms what we probably already knew. Travel can be full of these frustrating moments.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
Right.
Like everybody experiences this.
Mm-hmm.
68% of people
Yeah.
say delays and cancellations are their biggest travel stressor.
Oh,
So that's like almost 7 out of 10 of us are just bracing ourselves for that dreaded flight delayed announcement.
oh yeah. When you put it that way, it really highlights how common it is.
Yeah.
It's not just even the inconvenience. It's just like this
Yeah.
feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
And your plans are just like unraveling.
Yeah, totally. And then to add insult to injury, 50%
Oh, no.
of travelers said the combined cost of getting around
Right.
is a major stressor.
Yeah.
And, no secret travel can really take a bite out of your budget.
And I wonder with those, rising costs and that financial pressure,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder how it affects people's travel plans.
Mm-hmm.
Are people cutting back on trips or choosing more budget-friendly destinations or
Yeah,
even delaying their trips till things settle down a bit?
that's a great point.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how those patterns are shifting in response to the cost.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of things that make us want to pull our hair out,
Yeah.
coordinating travel with multiple people.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
47% said this is a major source of stress.
Oh, the joys of herding cats. Trying to juggle everyone's schedules and budgets and preferences is like a recipe for disaster, especially when you've got different generations or travel styles within the same group.
Right, and I think it's that loss of control.
Yeah.
When you're traveling solo, you only have yourself to answer to,
Mm-hmm.
but with a group, every decision becomes a negotiation.
Yeah.
And sometimes those negotiations can be tense.
Oh, fraught with tension.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, one of the biggest sources of travel friction,
Oh, yeah.
the airport.
The airport.
The report really zeroes in on this as like a major pain point.
It's like its own little world of stress, isn't it?
It is.
The report found that security check-in and even just navigating the airport are almost neck and neck when it comes to stress levels.
Yeah.
It's like the airport is this minefield of anxiety triggers
Oh,
lurking around every corner.
pretty much. But remember how we said younger travelers get more stress than older ones?
Right. What's up with that?
Yeah.
You think they'd be the digital natives breezing through it all with their apps and gadgets.
You would think so. They found 18 to 24-year-olds
Huh?
are way more stressed than the over 65 crowd.
Wow.
Even for simple things like finding the best routes or booking the right place to stay or even figuring out what to do at their destination.
That really challenges our assumptions about who finds travel the most stressful.
It does.
I wonder if maybe the younger travelers just haven't had as many trips
Right.
to build up that travel resilience.
Yeah.
Or if it's just the overwhelming amount of information online that feels paralyzing.
It's a good point. It's like choice overload.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole social media thing.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly seeing these perfect trips, and it creates so much pressure to have this flawless, Instagrammable experience.
Right. And maybe they just haven't mastered the art of going with the flow that comes with years of delayed flights and lost luggage.
Yeah, there's a certain level of acceptance, even humor, that
Yeah.
you develop as a seasoned traveler.
It's almost like a badge of honor to share
Mhm.
those travel mishap stories.
It is. And speaking of different travel styles,
Yeah.
let's not forget the road warriors.
The business travelers.
Yes.
The report found they face even more friction than those of us traveling for pleasure.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not just the travel itself, it's that added pressure of work and tight schedules and being away from home.
You nailed it. And the report breaks down some of the specific things that they face, starting with that whole ordeal of comparing prices across websites
Ugh.
and then trying to figure out all the hidden fees and taxes. It's enough to make anyone reach for the aspirin.
It is. And then add in the pressure of trying to find a place to stay that fits both your needs and your company's budget.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole nightmare of overbooked flights and cramped seats battling for overhead bin
Oh,
space.
I've all been there.
It's like an endurance test disguised as a business trip.
That moment when you realize your carry-on is 2 pounds over the limit.
Ugh, don't even get me started.
Or that dreaded middle seat between two strangers.
And the report also highlights how they really struggle with just the logistics of getting around
Oh, right.
once they land.
Yeah.
The traffic, unreliable transportation,
Yeah.
problems with the hotel bookings.
It's like every little thing becomes this potential obstacle.
Yeah, and when you're on that tight schedule,
Right.
every minute wasted feels like a major setback.
It does. And let's not forget those corporate travel policies.
Oh, yeah.
While they're meant to keep things organized, it can also feel like a straitjacket sometimes,
Right.
especially when they're unclear or hard to navigate.
It's like this constant battle between trying to do your job
Right.
and jumping through hoops
Yeah.
to comply with all these rules.
And sometimes those rules force you into these budget travel options that
Yeah.
are more trouble than they're worth.
Right, you're exhausted,
Yeah.
you're uncomfortable, and you're like, are these cost savings really worth the toll it takes on my well-being?
Totally. Makes you wonder if companies are shooting themselves in the foot by putting rock-bottom prices ahead of their employees' comfort and productivity.
I wonder if there's a shift happening, though.
Yeah.
Are companies starting to see that investing in a more comfortable travel experience
Right.
can actually boost their bottom line?
Interesting.
Because let's face it, a well-rested, happy employee
Yeah,
is going to be way more effective than one dragging themselves through meetings after travel nightmares.
absolutely. But let's talk about some potential solutions.
Okay.
The report explores some solutions to these travel woes.
Yeah.
And technology plays a big role.
Okay, so technology can be a double-edged sword, but in this case, it seems like it might actually be on our side.
Okay, let's hear it. What kind of tech are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the report highlights mobile apps as a potential game changer. 89% of travelers said they find these apps really useful in reducing travel stress. And it makes sense, we practically live on our phones these days.
I know I do.
Yeah.
And these apps can do so much more than just book flights and hotels. They can help you manage your itinerary, get real-time updates on your trip, even find a decent restaurant when you're starving in a new city.
It's like having a personal travel assistant in your pocket.
Totally.
And speaking of things that feel like magic, the report found that 86% of travelers are excited about automated rebooking for those dreaded delays and cancellations. Imagine this, your flight gets delayed.
Wow.
But instead of scrambling to find a new one, the system automatically rebooks you on the next available flight and sends you all the updated details.
Yeah.
No more frantic phone calls or long lines at the customer service desk.
That sounds amazing. And it's not just wishful thinking. This technology is already being implemented by some airlines.
That's great to hear, and it seems like travelers are really on board with embracing tech solutions. Another big one is digital bag tracking. 86% of respondents said they'd find this helpful, and I can totally see why.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there. That heart-stopping moment when you realize your bag didn't make it onto the carousel.
Oh, yeah.
With digital tracking, you could watch your luggage's journey every step of the way, knowing exactly where it is and when it's going to arrive.
Yeah.
No more playing baggage roulette.
And less time worrying if your favorite sweater is going to end up in a different country.
The report also highlights the potential of integrated travel booking one-stop shopping for all your travel needs.
Okay.
86% of travelers said they'd find this helpful, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Being able to book flights, hotels, rental cars, and even activities all in one place could really simplify things.
Streamline the process for sure, and potentially save you money with package deals and discounts.
Right.
But perhaps the most futuristic solution is fully digital ID and travel documents. 86% of respondents said this would reduce their stress.
Now, that's something I'm really curious about. Imagine a world where you could breeze through airport security using just your phone.
Wow.
Or a digital wristband, no more fumbling for your passport or boarding pass. Everything's right there at your fingertips.
It would make travel a lot smoother, but I do wonder about the security implications. What happens if your phone gets lost or stolen?
That's a good point. And the report does acknowledge that some travelers are wary of relying solely on digital documents.
Yeah.
They might prefer to have that physical backup just in case.
Right.
And there's the whole digital literacy issue.
Yeah.
Not everyone is comfortable navigating the digital world, and some might find that transition to fully digital documents a bit overwhelming.
Right. It's a reminder that technology is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's about finding the right balance between convenience, security, and accessibility for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even with all this amazing tech on the horizon, the report emphasizes that the human touch is still essential, especially when things get complicated.
I'm glad they brought that up because, let's face it, technology can't solve everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a real person to talk to someone who can understand your needs and offer personalized advice.
Totally. And the report found that even leisure travelers crave that human interaction when planning certain types of trips. For example, 47% said they prefer working with a travel agent when it comes to those big family vacations.
Oh, yeah. Family trips can be complicated with all those different people and ages and interests to think about.
And it's not just families.
Yeah.
The same percentage said they'd want a human expert involved when planning accessibility-focused trips. It makes sense. Those trips require more specialized knowledge and support.
Makes sense.
It's about having someone who can anticipate your needs and help you navigate those potential challenges.
Right. And even those going solo, 43% of solo travelers said they'd prefer some human interaction during the planning phase. Maybe it's having someone to bounce ideas off of, or maybe it's just the reassurance of knowing you've got a resource if things go wrong.
Yeah.
And it seems like older travelers in general prefer more human assistance across different stages of their journey.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that they're not into tech, it's more about appreciating that personal touch.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to explain your situation to another human being and know that they get it.
Yeah.
So it's clear that technology is reshaping the travel landscape.
Mm-hmm.
But the human element is still very much in the picture.
That's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. It's about finding the right blend of technology and the human interaction
Yeah.
to create a truly frictionless travel experience.
I like that.
What does it actually look like?
Yeah.
The report paints a really vivid picture of a frictionless trip using the example of a delayed flight.
Okay.
So let's walk through it.
Let's hear it.
So picture this. You're at the airport, ready to jet off to Atlanta for an important meeting.
Okay.
You got your car transfer booked, your hotel reservation confirmed, you're even dreaming about that fancy sushi dinner you're going to have later.
Sounds like a plan.
But then disaster strikes just before boarding the airline, announces a delay of an hour and a half.
Uh-oh.
Cue the stress right.
Oh, yeah. I can feel my blood pressure rising already.
But in this frictionless future, things play out a little differently behind the scenes. Technology is working its magic. The car transfer company is automatically notified of your new arrival time and sends you a message with all the updated details.
Okay, that's a huge relief already. No more frantically trying to call the car service while juggling your luggage.
Right, and it gets even better. The hotel also gets notified of your delay, and they proactively send you your room assignment so you can check in on your phone and bypass the front desk when you arrive.
Wow, talk about personalized service. They're anticipating your needs before you even have to ask.
And knowing you'll be arriving late and likely missing the hotel restaurant.
Oh, right.
They even send you a selection of late-night bites that can be delivered to your room.
Wow.
No more settling for that stale bag of chips from the vending machine.
That's amazing. It's like they've thought of everything.
So you arrive in Atlanta, your driver's waiting.
Oh.
You breeze through check-in using biometrics.
Okay.
And you arrive at your room to find a delicious meal waiting for you. Talk about a seamless experience.
It's like a travel fairy godmother waved her magic wand and made all the stress disappear.
Right. But seriously, it's fascinating to think about how those small changes can add up to a dramatically different travel experience.
And the best part is the report suggests that this vision of frictionless travel might not be that far off.
I really hope so.
Yep.
But let's be realistic. There are always going to be bumps in the road, things we can't control. But the point is, we can strive to make the travel experience as smooth and enjoyable as possible.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key takeaway here. The industry is making progress in addressing travel friction, but there's always more work to be done. And that work requires collaboration
Yeah.
between airlines, airports, hotels, tech providers, and of course, us, the travelers.
Totally. We need to be vocal about our needs,
Mm-hmm.
embrace new technologies, and work together to create a travel ecosystem that prioritizes both efficiency and enjoyment.
Okay, so we've talked about the external factors that contribute to travel friction, but I think it's important to acknowledge the internal piece as well. The report briefly mentions the emotional toll that travel stress can take. And I'm curious to explore that a little bit further. After all, travel is supposed to be about relaxation and adventure and creating memories.
You're so right. It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about the emotional journey as well.
Right, but when travel becomes a source of stress and anxiety, it can really take a toll on our mental well-being.
Absolutely. I'd love to dive into that. What kind of emotions are we talking about here?
Well, the report found that when they asked how travel friction made them feel, leisure travelers said they experience a whole bunch of negative emotions.
Mhm.
Frustration, stress, anxiety, annoyance were at the top of the list. A
Wow.
lot of people described feeling overwhelmed, nervous, impatient,
Yeah,
and some even said they wanted to shorten or cancel their trips because of it.
that's heartbreaking. Travel is supposed to be a source of joy and excitement, not dread and anxiety. It makes you wonder how many people are missing out on these incredible experiences because they're just too stressed out by the whole idea of travel.
And it's not just about individual well-being, is it? The report found that 14% of people frequently avoid taking trips altogether
Really?
due to all those anticipated obstacles or frustrations.
Wow.
And for business travelers, that number jumps to 18%.
That's a lot of people opting out of experiences that could enrich their lives.
And think about the impact on the travel industry itself. If
Yeah.
people are avoiding travel because of all that stress and anxiety, that's a huge loss for airlines, hotels, tour operators, all those businesses that rely on tourism.
So it's clear that travel friction has these implications that go way beyond individual frustration. But what can we do about it? How can we shift the narrative from dread to delight?
That's the million-dollar question, and while there's no easy fix, the report suggests that empowering travelers and giving them more control over their journey is a good place to start.
I like that. So how do we go about empowering travelers?
Well, we've already talked about the potential of technology.
Yeah.
Things like automated rebooking and digital bag tracking can help reduce stress by giving travelers more information and options when things go wrong.
It's about putting the power back in their hands.
Exactly. But what about the human element? We talked earlier about how some travelers really prefer that human interaction, especially when dealing with complicated situations.
Absolutely. And the report acknowledges that the human touch is still vital.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they found that leisure travelers often prefer to work with a travel agent
Right.
when planning those big, complicated trips, like family vacations or trips with specific accessibility needs.
Right. Sometimes you just need a real person to talk to, someone who can understand your unique situation and offer personalized advice.
Exactly. And even in the age of online booking,
Right.
travel agents can still play a valuable role in helping travelers navigate the complexities of travel, find the best deals, and troubleshoot when things go wrong.
It's like having a travel advocate on your side.
Exactly. So it's not about technology replacing humans. It's about finding the right balance between the two.
Right. Using technology to streamline the process and enhance the human experience.
Okay, so we've talked about empowering travelers through technology, A&D, human interaction. But what about the coping mechanisms that people are already using to deal with travel stress?
Yeah.
The report dives into that as well, and it's quite fascinating.
Okay. I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, the report found that leisure travelers tend to rely heavily on self-reliance and personal coping mechanisms.
Okay.
Think deep breathing exercises, listening to music, reading a good book,
Oh, yeah.
or even bringing a comfort item from home.
Like creating their own little bubble of calm amidst the chaos of travel.
Right. And they're also using technology to their advantage, staying connected with loved ones, listening to podcasts, watching movies,
Yeah.
basically anything to keep their minds occupied and distracted from the potential stressors.
So technology can be a double-edged sword. It can be a source of stress, but it can also be a tool for coping with stress.
Exactly. And the report also found that leisure travelers really value their social support networks. They're turning to their spouses, partners, friends, and family for emotional support and practical help,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's venting about a delayed flight or getting advice on navigating a new city.
That makes a lot of sense when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. It's natural to reach out to the people you trust for comfort and reassurance.
Absolutely. And the report also found that travelers aren't afraid to seek help from official sources,
Yeah.
like airline staff, travel agents, or airport workers when they need it.
Okay.
They're using all the resources at their disposal to try to make their trip go as smoothly as possible.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Drawing on their own inner resources,
Yeah.
their social networks, A&D, the help of professionals.
Exactly. It shows that travelers are resilient and resourceful. They're not just passively accepting the stress, they're actively trying to manage it.
That's good.
And I think that's something the travel industry should take note of.
Huh.
It shows that travelers are willing to put in the effort to make their trips enjoyable. And the industry can play a role in supporting those efforts by providing clear information, offering helpful services, and generally making the travel experience as smooth and stress-free as possible.
Absolutely. But let's not forget about business travelers. How are they coping with all that added stress?
Well, the report found that business travelers, perhaps unsurprisingly,
Yeah.
tend to lean more heavily on technology to manage their stress.
Mm-hmm.
They're already accustomed to using technology to stay connected and get work done.
Right.
So it makes sense that they'd turn to those trusty devices on the road.
It's like their mobile office,
Right.
keeping them organized, productive, and connected even when they're miles away from their desk.
Exactly. They're using apps to track expenses, find meeting locations, and even order room service. It's all about maximizing efficiency and minimizing distractions.
But even the most tech-savvy business travelers aren't immune to the emotional toll of travel. The report found that they, too, reach out to their families and loved ones. Oh, yeah. For support when they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
Because at the end of the day, we're all human writing. We all need that connection and support, especially when we're outside of our comfort zones.
Absolutely. And the report really highlights the importance of communication in managing travel stress. It's about feeling informed and in control, knowing what's going on and what to expect.
That's right. And it's about feeling like someone is looking out for you even when things go wrong.
So it's not just about providing information, it's about providing reassurance.
Exactly. And the report suggests that the travel industry could learn a lot from other industries when it comes to managing customer stress.
Oh, that's interesting. What other industries are we talking about?
Well, they point to healthcare and finance as examples.
Okay.
Those are industries that deal with a lot of sensitive and stressful information.
Yeah, they do.
And they've had to develop really specific strategies for communicating with customers
Mm-hmm.
in a way that minimizes stress and anxiety.
Right. So what can the travel industry learn from them?
Well, for example, the report suggests that the travel industry could adopt a more personalized approach to communication.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
Well, it could mean tailoring messages to individual travelers based on their specific needs and preferences.
Okay, so like if I'm a frequent business traveler who really hates delays, I might get more detailed updates about potential disruptions.
Exactly. And if you're a family traveler who's more concerned about keeping your kids entertained during a delay, you might receive messages about family-friendly amenities at the airport.
I see. So it shows that the industry is taking my individual needs into account.
Right. And it can make a big difference in how you experience the situation.
So it's not just about providing information, it's about providing the right information to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something the travel industry can really work on.
Okay, so we've talked about the emotional roller coaster that travel can sometimes be. But at the end of the day, most of us still crave those experiences, those opportunities to explore new places and broaden our horizons. So let's talk about what travelers actually want from the travel experience.
You read my mind. The report actually asked travelers that very question, and their responses are quite revealing.
Okay, I'm all ears. What did they say?
It seems like faster and more efficient. Airport security is at the top of everyone's wish list.
Really?
It was the #1 thing travelers wanted to see improved.
I can't say I blame them. Those security lines can be brutal.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like the shuffling, the removing of shoes and belts, the pat-downs.
Yeah.
It's like an obstacle course you have to conquer before you even get to your gate.
And the report suggests that technology could help streamline the process.
Right, we're already seeing things like biometric screening at some airports.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of buzz about AI and machine learning being used
Yeah.
to make security even more efficient.
It would be great to see those long lines become a thing of the past.
Right, faster security is just the beginning, though. What else are travelers hoping for?
Well, reducing flight delays and getting better communication during disruptions came in a close second.
It seems like delays are the bane of every traveler's existence.
It's that feeling of powerlessness. You know, you're at the mercy of the airlines and the communication is often terrible.
Totally. Travelers want airlines to do everything they can to minimize those delays.
Right.
But they also want to be kept in the loop when things do go wrong.
Yeah.
It's about feeling informed and respected, even when the situation is out of their control.
Transparency is key, and it seems like travelers are also craving a bit more comfort during those journeys.
Oh, yeah.
More comfortable seating and better access to amenities were high on the list.
We've all been there crammed into a tiny seat, battling for elbow room, wishing for a decent snack that doesn't cost a fortune.
Yeah, it's no wonder people are willing to pay a little extra for those premium economy or business class seats.
Right, and it's not just about the seats themselves. Travelers are also looking for better amenities at airports and hotels.
Right.
Think comfortable lounges, reliable Wi-Fi, and healthy food options.
Yeah. It's about making the journey itself a little more enjoyable, not just something you have to endure.
Exactly. It seems like thorough pre-planning and consistent schedules were also high on the list.
Okay.
Nobody likes surprises when they're trying to get from point A to point B,
Hmm.
especially when time is of the essence.
I can definitely relate to that. Having a well-planned itinerary gives you that sense of control,
Right.
which can really reduce anxiety.
Yeah.
And knowing that your flights and connections are reliable takes away a lot of the guesswork.
Right. And let's not forget about the financial side of things. Lower travel costs and transparent pricing were also a big concern.
Yeah, nobody likes feeling like they're being nickel and dimed every step of the way.
It's like a constant game of trying to figure out what the real price is going to be.
Yeah, travelers just want to know upfront what they're paying without having to decipher a bunch of hidden fees.
Totally. And when it comes to the actual travel experience, improved customer service and support at airports were also high on the list. We've all had those moments where we needed help only to be met with indifference or incompetence.
Right. It's like adding insult to injury.
It can really add to the stress.
Yeah. Travelers just want to be treated with respect and courtesy, even when things go wrong.
Exactly. They want to feel like the staff are genuinely trying to help them, not just going through the motions.
Right.
And finally, travelers also emphasize the importance of personal stress management techniques and calm companionship.
Okay.
It seems like they're realizing that they have a role to play in managing their own stress levels.
It's about taking ownership of your experience and finding ways to stay calm and centered.
Right? It's about packing your patience, your sense of humor, and your willingness to go with the flow.
And maybe a good book and some noise-canceling headphones just in case.
Okay, so we've talked about what travelers want, but let's flip the script for a moment.
Mm.
The report also asked travelers which technologies they felt would actually increase their travel frustration.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a backhanded way of understanding what people really don't want.
Yeah, exactly. And surprisingly, virtual assistants for travel queries topped the list.
Really?
26% of
Yeah.
people said those virtual helpers would actually make them more frustrated.
That's interesting. I would have thought those would be helpful.
I know maybe it's that people have had too many bad experiences with those clunky chatbots or automated phone systems.
Yeah, probably. Or maybe sometimes you just really need to talk to a real person.
Right.
Someone who can actually understand what you're going through and offer real advice.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you just need that human connection.
Right.
And another technology that got a mixed response was automated rebooking for delays and cancellations.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we said 86% of travelers thought it would be helpful?
Yeah, it seemed like a no-brainer.
Well, it turns out that 26% also said it would increase their frustration.
Oh, wow.
It seems like some people just prefer to have more control over that rebooking process,
Yeah.
while others are happy to let the system handle it.
Right. It's a good reminder that technology is not one size fits all.
Yeah. What works for one person might not work for another, and fully digital ID and travel documents also received some pushback.
Okay.
24% said they'd find it stressful.
I can see that security concerns would definitely be a factor.
Yeah,
What happens if you lose your phone?
exactly. And then there's the whole digital literacy issue. Not everyone is comfortable navigating the digital world,
Right.
and relying solely on digital documents might feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we need to think about accessibility and inclusivity as we move toward a more digital travel experience.
Absolutely. And even those of us who are tech savvy can get frustrated when tech doesn't work as expected. The report found 24% said that mobile apps for travel would actually make them more stressed.
Yeah, sometimes those apps can be so clunky and confusing, especially when you're trying to do something complicated like booking a multi-city trip.
Totally. And finally, even biometric screening, which seemed like such a futuristic solution, got negative feedback. 22% of respondents said it would stress them out.
I wonder if that's about privacy concerns.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And then there's the whole feeling of being treated like a number rather than a person.
Yeah, it's about feeling comfortable and in control.
Right. Which can be hard when you're being processed through a system that feels impersonal.
Exactly.
And I think this whole conversation about technology and travel really highlights the importance of choice.
Yeah.
Travelers should be able to use technology if they want to,
Mm-hmm.
but they should also have the option to opt out if they prefer.
Absolutely. It's about creating a travel experience that's flexible and accommodates everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about all the things we can control when it comes to travel. But let's be honest, there are some things that are just beyond our grasp. And the report reminds us that sometimes Mother Nature has other plans.
Oh, tell me about it. The weather is the ultimate wild card.
No kidding. I've been stranded by blizzards, delayed by thunderstorms, even had a flight canceled because of volcanic ash.
Wow. You just never know what Mother Nature's going to throw your way.
It's like she has a mischievous sense of humor.
She does.
And while the travel industry can't control the weather, they can definitely do a better job of managing the disruptions that it causes.
It's about communication flexibility and providing support to travelers when things go wrong.
Exactly. And, the report found that bad weather was actually the #1 reason travelers gave for avoiding trips altogether.
Oh, wow.
It's understandable. It's hard to get excited about a vacation when you're worried about getting snowed in or having your flight canceled because of a hurricane.
Yeah, and it's not just about the inconvenience, it's also about safety. Nobody wants to put themselves or their loved ones at risk.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So while we can't control the weather, we can be more mindful of its potential impact on our travel plans.
right. And this is where travel insurance comes in.
Oh yes, travel insurance is so important for protecting yourself against those unexpected events,
Yeah.
including those caused by Mother Nature.
It gives you peace of mind knowing that you're covered if something goes wrong, whether it's a delayed flight or a lost bag or a medical emergency.
It's about mitigating the risks and knowing you've got a safety net if things don't go according to plan.
Exactly. And weather is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
There are other things that can disrupt travel plans too, things like political unrest, natural disasters, even pandemics.
Oh, right. Those are all things that can really turn a dream trip into a nightmare.
Yeah, they can, and unfortunately, they're becoming more and more common.
It's more important than ever to be prepared.
So true.
And that means staying informed about potential risks, having a backup plan, being flexible,
Yeah.
and of course having travel insurance.
Being proactive, taking those steps to protect yourself, not just hoping for the best.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about all the things that can go wrong, but let's end on a positive note.
Okay.
What are some things that can make travel truly enjoyable?
Well, the report talks about personalization and customization, creating a travel experience that's tailored to your needs and preferences, not just the one-size-fits-all approach.
Right, and technology is playing a huge role in this trend.
Yeah.
We're already seeing things like personalized travel recommendations
Uh-huh.
based on your past trips and your interests.
It's like having a digital travel agent that knows you inside and out.
Exactly. And then there's virtual reality and augmented reality, which are starting to be used to create these really immersive travel experiences.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Imagine being able to take a virtual tour of a destination before you even book your trip.
Yeah.
Or use augmented reality to get real-time info about the places you're visiting.
Mm.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
So the future of travel is all about personalization and customization.
It is. And it's about using technology to actually enhance the travel experience,
Okay.
to make it more enjoyable and meaningful.
So we've talked about a lot of different aspects of travel, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But let's come back to the core theme, frictionless travel.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in a practical sense?
The report says it's a travel experience that's seamless, stress-free, and enjoyable from start to finish,
Okay.
removing those pain points
Yeah.
and creating a journey that's smooth, efficient, and even, dare I say, fun.
It sounds like a utopia, a travel dream come true.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But the report suggests that it's not as far-fetched as it might seem.
Really? What makes you say that?
Well, we've talked about all the ways the travel industry is already making progress.
Mhm.
Automated rebooking, digital bag tracking, biometric screening. These are all technologies that are streamlining the travel experience.
That's true. And there are so many more innovations on the horizon.
Exactly. And the report suggests that if the industry keeps innovating and collaborating, really focusing on traveler needs,
Yeah.
then we really can create a travel experience that's truly frictionless.
A travel experience where stress and frustration are a thing of the past, and the journey itself is just as enjoyable as the destination.
Exactly. And that's a future I think we can all get behind.
Absolutely. Now, we've touched on how business travelers are uniquely affected by travel friction, but I think it's worth digging a little deeper.
Yeah.
The report had some interesting things to say about how companies can help their employees deal with these challenges, right?
You're right. We talked about how business travelers often experience even higher levels of travel friction
Mm-hmm.
than those traveling for leisure. They're juggling those tight schedules.
Right.
complex itineraries, the
Hmm.
pressure to stay productive on the road.
Yeah. Exactly. And the report really emphasizes that companies have a responsibility to help their employees manage this stress and create a better travel experience for them.
Absolutely. It's not just about booking the cheapest flights and hotels.
Right.
It's about recognizing that travel is a significant part of their overall work experience.
And investing in their well-being on the road can actually benefit the company in the long run.
Exactly. Happy, well-rested employees are more productive, more engaged, more likely to stick around.
So what are some specific steps that companies can take to support those road warriors?
Well, the report highlights a few key areas.
Okay.
First and foremost, companies need to make sure their travel policies are clear and easy to understand.
Right. Nobody wants to wade through pages of legalese just to figure out how to book a flight.
Exactly. And it's not just about having a policy in place, it's about making sure employees understand it and know how to follow it.
It's about communication and clarity.
Exactly. And companies can use technology to make this easier. Create online portals where employees can access the travel policy, get answers to questions, and even book their trips.
That would be so helpful. It takes the guesswork out of the equation and empowers employees to manage their travel more efficiently.
Right. And beyond clear travel policies, companies can also give employees the right tools and resources to manage those trips.
Okay, what kind of tools and resources are we talking about?
Well, think about those travel apps we talked about earlier.
Right.
Companies can provide access to those apps or even develop their own custom apps,
Okay.
tailored to their specific needs.
Yeah.
These apps can help employees stay organized, manage their itineraries, track expenses, get real-time updates.
It's like having a virtual travel assistant in your pocket.
Exactly. And companies can go a step further by providing training on how to manage travel stress.
Okay.
This could be online courses, in-person workshops, or even just sharing helpful tips and resources.
Right. It's about equipping employees with the skills they need to stay calm and centered when they're on the road.
Right. It's about acknowledging that travel, especially for work, can be demanding and stressful.
Yeah.
And by acknowledging those challenges and providing support,
Yeah.
companies can create a more positive and productive experience.
And happy, well-rested employees are good for the bottom line.
Exactly.
Wow.
But it goes beyond just practical support.
Mm-hmm.
The report also emphasizes creating a company culture that values work-life balance,
Okay.
even when employees are traveling.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's about recognizing that employees have lives outside of work
Right.
and encouraging them to take breaks, stay connected with their families, and do things they enjoy even when they're traveling.
It's about creating a more holistic approach to travel. It's not just about work. It's about personal growth and well-being.
And when employees feel supported in those areas, they're more likely to be happy, productive, and loyal to the company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've even heard of companies that encourage their employees to travel for leisure, offering travel stipends or extra vacation time to explore new places and experience different cultures.
Wow, that's amazing.
It shows that they really value their employees and understand that travel can be really powerful for personal growth and development.
It is, and it's a great way to reward employees for their hard work.
But it's not just about what companies can do for their employees. The report also highlights getting feedback from travelers themselves.
Oh, right. Feedback is crucial if you want to improve.
It is, and the travel industry is no exception.
Yeah.
They need to be constantly getting feedback
Yeah.
in order to identify those areas for improvement.
Right. It's about listening to the customer and taking their needs seriously.
Exactly. And there's so many ways to get feedback now.
Yeah.
They can use traditional methods like surveys and focus groups,
Mm-hmm.
but they can also use more modern methods like social media monitoring and online reviews.
Those are great ways to get real-time feedback.
Right. And technology can make that whole process more efficient.
It's about creating a dialogue with travelers,
Yeah.
making them feel heard, showing them that their feedback matters.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of feedback, but I think it's also important to acknowledge that the travel industry is facing some unique challenges.
Oh, absolutely. The world is changing so fast, and the travel industry is having to adapt to new technologies, new expectations, new ways of thinking about travel.
Exactly, and the report highlights a few key trends that are shaping the future of travel.
Okay.
One of the biggest is the sharing economy platforms like Airbnb and Uber are changing the way people travel, offering new options for accommodation, transportation, and even experiences.
Yeah, it's about connecting people with each other and with local communities, creating a more authentic travel experience.
Right. But those platforms are also creating challenges for traditional travel providers like hotels and rental car companies.
Hmm.
They're having to compete with these new players and adapt to the changing needs of travelers.
It's a disruption, but it's also an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another major trend is the growing importance of sustainability. Travelers are more and more aware of their environmental impact,
Yeah.
and they're looking for providers that are committed to sustainable practices.
It's not just about getting from point A to point B anymore. It's about doing it responsibly, minimizing our impact on the planet.
Right. It's about choosing airlines that are investing in fuel-efficient aircraft hotels,
Hmm.
that are reducing energy consumption tour operators that are supporting conservation.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity for the travel industry to make a real difference.
Exactly. And it's an opportunity to connect with a new generation of travelers that really care about these things.
And let's not forget about technology.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's clear that it's going to continue to shape the future of travel.
The travel industry needs to embrace it not just to streamline things,
Right.
but also to create a more personalized and enjoyable experience.
It's about using technology to make things better for people, not to replace them.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here, the challenges of travel friction, the emotional impact, and how the travel industry is trying to address those issues.
And the roles of technology and the human touch.
Exactly. I think the key takeaway is that the travel industry is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
It's facing some big challenges, but it also has a huge opportunity.
Yeah, to create a better travel experience for everyone.
Exactly. The companies that are going to succeed are those that are willing to listen to their customers, adapt to their needs, and use technology in a smart way.
And those that prioritize sustainability and recognize that travel is about more than just getting from point A to point B.
Right. It's about creating those meaningful experiences and making a positive impact.
As we're wrapping up, one thing keeps coming back to me: expectations.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of travel frustration comes from unrealistic expectations about what travel should be.
That's interesting. I can see that we're bombarded with perfect travel pictures online.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in that fantasy.
Right.
And forget that real travel rarely lives up to those images.
Right. And those unrealistic expectations can make us disappointed when things inevitably go wrong.
Exactly. There are always going to be delays, hiccups, and unexpected challenges. It's part of the adventure.
Right. And I think it's important to go into travel with a realistic mindset.
Totally.
It doesn't mean lowering your standards.
Right.
It just means being prepared for things to go wrong.
Yeah, and being okay with that.
It's about embracing the unexpected and finding the humor in those moments.
Because sometimes those unexpected moments lead to the best stories.
Oh, absolutely. Some of my favorite travel memories are the times when things went totally off the rails.
Yeah, it's those moments that really make the trip memorable.
So maybe it's not about getting rid of all the friction.
Right.
Maybe it's about changing how we think about it.
Embracing the friction.
Exactly, because sometimes those frustrating moments become the best stories later on.
It's all about perspective and a sense of humor.
Well said. So we started this deep dive exploring all the things that make travel stressful.
Yeah.
And we're ending it by encouraging you to embrace the unexpected and find the joy, even when it's a little bumpy.
And remember, the future of travel is full of possibilities.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of travel friction.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
And we hope you got some insights to help you on your travels.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
What are your biggest travel frustrations?
What tips do you have for managing stress?
And what are your hopes for the future of travel?
Join the conversation on social media.
And until next time, happy travels.
Bon voyage.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the future of travel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more insights and updates. Visit Tourism, Capturing the Scene of Knowledge, a comprehensive website delivering the latest travel trends and innovations. Accelerate your mastery of the tourism industry, all in one place. Navigate through a vast showcase of comprehensive business-oriented tourism content, 99% pure industry intelligence, and 1% academic, curated for discerning professionals. Why subscribe to Tourism? Capturing the Scene of Knowledge. Make informed decisions. Instantly access key reports and insights from top sources across the tourism industry. No research required. All in one place. Why split your attention? A single subscription gives you easy access to thousands of reports, videos, and infographics just as effortlessly as watching a 30-second ad. Save time with curated searches. Time is money. Let our subscription save you both by delivering valuable insights directly without the endless search. Until next time, happy travels.